Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the official Nerd Talk channel. My name is Tyler, aka Mind of a Nerd. I'm here with my co host AJ Reacts to and Kevin, and we are back for another episode of Nerd Talk. We are on episode 105, and we are here tonight to talk about the newest installment in the Ghostbusters franchise, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. But first, we have some other topics to get into today. What is going on, my guys?
What's good? I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk about a pretty controversial film. But yeah, ready to get into it.
Yeah, I
Doing
had a. Oh, go ahead.
doing pretty well myself. I saw Godzilla versus Kong this morning, or as a lovely poster on Letterbox put it, the giant monkey versus the giant lizard. That was an awesome watch,
Very much so.
and can't wait for Empire tomorrow, and I can't wait to talk about the Frozen Empire today.
Yeah, a lot of empires going around. I didn't realize that. Frozen Empire today, the new Empire next week. But yeah, I watched King of the Monsters yesterday and Skull Island because I haven't seen Skull Island in a long time. So I was like, I need a refresher on this one. They're whatever movies to me. They look beautiful, but they're both whatever movies to me. I will be watching Godzilla versus Kong again tomorrow before the new Empire, which I am so excited to see. But yeah, we're about to get into this. Please leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live streams. Also, follow our Instagram. The link is down below. Also, let us know if you're in the chat if you have seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. What are your thoughts on it? Do you agree with the masses that this movie was not good, or do you agree with the other half that actually enjoyed it for what it was? And without further ado, let's get into tonight's show. Starting with the first of two trailers we will be talking about this evening, the Beetlejuice teaser trailer thoughts. So, funny story with this trailer before I get into my thoughts on it. I actually saw this trailer early before it released. So, I think Kevin did also. I'm assuming he did. I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Unfortunately, not.
Well, that's what you get when you go to Regal. So they leaked like the beginning of this trailer like 2 days before it dropped. Warner Brothers was really stingy with this trailer because they were supposed to drop it one day and then the Acolyte trailer dropped. And then the next day another trailer dropped. I forgot what the trailer was. And they were like, well, we're not going to drop it now. And then somebody leaked the beginning of it. And then eventually Thursday night, they dropped it. And so I had seen that first like 12 seconds floating around everywhere. So I'm sitting in the theater watching the trailers and I see the beginning that I saw and I literally leaped out of my seat because I knew exactly what it was and I was like, "Yo, that's cool." They showed the Beetlejuice trailer before Ghostbusters, which if you ask me, I think what had happened was they were supposed to release it before the movie came out, and they chickened out, and it was supposed to play with Ghostbusters anyway. That's the point. I don't think it was supposed to work out that it people saw it when they saw Ghostbusters, and then it dropped online. I think it was supposed to be the reverse. But point is, we have our first trailer for Beetlejuice 2 or Beetlejuice. Um, so this sequel for a lot of people is long awaited. Beetlejuice is the classic among many. It's not one of my favorites. I'm gonna be honest. It's okay. It's fun for what it is. Michael Keaton owns that movie. Like beyond belief, and I love the practical effects in it. They're great. The ones that are not dated. Um, and it's a fun ride for what it is. It's not one of my favorite Tim Burton movies, and I don't really have any favorite Tim Burton movies to be honest. Maybe Corpse Bride. That's it. Corpse Bride. Me and AJ, right there, bro. Um, so I was never really excited for this movie. This just seemed like another one of those like, hey, let's do this again because we can. Michael Keaton is still alive and wealthy and healthy, I should say. Tim Burton is
I mean,
still
wealthy
kicking
too.
around. Yeah, he is, especially with the paycheck from The Flash. Yeah, I mean, you know, and let's do it. Why not? I was like, yes. I mean, it's whatever. To me, Beetlejuice works as its own standalone thing. To be honest, but whatever. I really wasn't anticipating this trailer really at all. And after seeing the trailer a couple times, 'cause I watched it in the theater and I watched it again when I got out, and then I actually showed my mom, and she really liked the trailer. She was excited. So, my dad also. I texted him the trailer. He said, "Holy shit!" Nothing else. He just said, "Holy shit." Um. So my thoughts on the trailer were, I mean, it's a neat trailer. It's a teaser. Which I appreciate that we're getting more teasers. Like the first trailers for things are no longer 3.5 minute trailers that spoil the whole movie. I'm glad that like we had A Quiet Place Day One with that very short teaser, Alien Romulus last week, which I thought is amazing teaser trailer, and this one too. It's very short and very brief, and literally the point was to show what the movie looks like. Michael Keaton is back. Jenna Ortega is in it. That's and I guess Winona Ryder's in it. That's pretty much it.
Catherine
Uh,
O'Hara too.
yeah. Um. There's not really much to say. It doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good. I love the line at the end for Michael Keaton. He looks like he hasn't missed a step with that role. I'm very excited to see him back. Especially because I wasn't excited to see him at all in The Flash as Batman, and he was the best part of that movie for me by a country mile. And I was impressed with actually how much effort he put into that role. So, that makes me more excited to see him back as Beetlejuice. This is like, oh, maybe he's going to actually give it his all. You know, um, I'm not excited that Tim Burton is directing it. Hot take, I don't like Tim Burton as a director really at all. So hearing that he was coming back, especially since his recent stuff, minus Wednesday, I haven't seen Wednesday yet. His recent movies have been just bland to awful. I'm not excited for that at all. But we will see. All I will say is we will see. But as the teaser, good teaser. Intrigued. I want to actually know what the story to this movie is. They released a synopsis and it was very brief. But good teaser for what it is. AJ, what are your thoughts on the teaser trailer?
So briefly, like in 2020, I watched it for the first time. I had never seen the original, so I watched it for the first time in 2020, and I thought it was okay. Like I understood why it was kind of a cult classic. It has like a strange aesthetic to it. Tim Burton, very Tim Burton ish. So like I can understand why people really enjoyed it, but it wasn't really for me. I think I gave it like a 3 out of 5. Then I watched it. Me and Tyler watched it
Yeah.
together, and that was my second time, and I was like, "Yeah, this just not hitting, bro, like at all." Um, and then all this, buzz for the new one is coming out, and the trailer was coming out, and it's like, okay, it's getting delayed, and it's like, okay, let me watch Beetlejuice one more time. I honestly had a blast the last time I watched it, even though I could totally admit that it's not perfect. It's has some pacing issues, but some of the stuff I loved on the third time watch. So I watched that, and then the next day, um, when I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, they showed the trailer, and I actually I actually about did a flip in the theater, bro. I was so pumped. I really loved the way this trailer was presented. I loved the cinematography of the trailer, and just kind of like visiting the old, town or whatever that the original was set in. It kind of like gave me like nostalgic feelings, even though I watched it for the first time in 2020. It gave me like some feelings, and I was like, oh, okay. And then the song played in the background. It was like kind of a like eerie rendition of the song that they played in the original, and I was like, I dig this a lot. And Michael Keaton, man, he showed up towards the end of the trailer, the teaser, and like you said, he didn't miss a beat, and he's just hamming it up, and I'm actually pretty excited for it. I was not anticipating this trailer whatsoever. When people were saying, "Oh, it's getting delayed. Oh, it's delayed." Um, we don't know when it's coming. I'm like, okay, I don't really care. But now, I don't know. I kind of changed my tune a little bit. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. I really like the teaser.
Okay, that was abrupt ending. Um, I don't have a background, so I'm just gonna share my thoughts on this movie, on the trailer. It was a very awesome trailer. I like trailers like these where it's just teasers. It looks really really good. Um, the little effects at the end looks awesome when you see Winona's character kind of just staring at this board and it's kind of like breaking apart, and then you see Beetlejuice just appear right behind it. That was awesome to see. But there wasn't really anything for me to take away from this trailer other than that it looks good. The characters look awesome. Michael Keaton looks amazing as Beetlejuice again. One touch I did really love was at the end when they showed the title card. It showed Beetlejuice and it kind of like split itself apart into the double Beetlejuice moment. I thought that was really good. So, but yeah, I don't really have any background on this, so I'll just leave it at that. I thought the trailer looked really good. Hopefully we get another teaser that kind of like just shows the story a little bit. But if this is all I get, which it's not going to be all I get, but if this is all I'm gonna watch, I'm satisfied. I really like this trailer.
All right. Like I said, this is not one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I don't know why it's releasing in September and not October. I really hate when movie studios release movies that are clearly October movies and they put them at the tail end of September. They did that with It, and it was so stupid. They should have put
Give
that in October.
give people a chance to see it, man.
No, no, that's stupid to me. They should. They put Doctor Sleep at the end of October. That was perfect. But like, I don't know. That
I don't
that's
have I don't
that's
have an issue with that at all.
that's
It's
really
September.
dumb to
It's
me.
very close to October. So,
Whatever. If you guys have seen the trailer for Beetlejuice, let us know down below if you're excited. Have you seen the original? What are your thoughts on the original? Is it a classic for you, or do you just not really feel it? Moving on to our second trailer of the night, Bad Boys Ride or Die trailer 1. So this one fucking came out of absolutely nowhere. I was literally on my phone watching whatever on the bus to school, and I just saw the notification pop up. I said, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Oh shit." Um for those that don't know, I really like the Bad Boys movies. I enjoy every single one. The first one is fine, but it is enjoyable. Bad Boys 2 is one of the dumbest fucking movies I've ever seen in my life, but it is so hilarious that I enjoy it. The scene, the scene in the morgue. All I'll say about that. Mm. In all seriousness, the highway chase in that movie is amazing. That action sequence is awesome. Um, and Bad Boys for Life, I honestly love. That's my favorite one, and I watched that one without watching the other two, just because my whoever I saw it with, she was like, "You can watch it without watching the other two, whatever." And I was able to, other than Reggie showing up, I pretty much understood everything that was happening. Um, but with context, it's funnier. Um, so I saw that movie in the theater. That was right before COVID happened, which is kind of crazy.
mhm.
Um, and I've watched it actually a lot. I really like that movie, and it's good to know that we have the same directors back on this. Same writers, same cast, all around. And this movie, they've been kind of, I feel like they just announced it and now we're getting it, but I feel like we haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
it either.
they've been moving in silence
And
with it
yeah, and the movie comes out in June, I believe, which is kind of crazy that we're
14
getting this trailer like
or 7.
pretty much 2 months before this movie comes out.
Mhm.
So, with that said, I can't wait for this fucking movie. This trailer, I was turning up. I have watched this trailer so many times. This movie looks like a blast. I cannot wait. Now, I will say, before they revealed what the actual story to this movie was, when they revealed, oh, Captain Howard was working for the cartel, I said, what the what? I was like, what? I I didn't like that at all, because I was like, that feels like one of those decisions where it's like, well, we don't have a fourth movie. What are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna say that the person that everyone thought was good, yeah, no, he was actually a bad guy. And thankfully, they immediately they're like, oh no, actually, he's just being framed. I was like, okay, because that would have been really stupid. Um, the action in the action in this trailer is just immaculate. It's actually a very well edited trailer too. I like the way they edited the music to the action. It was awesome. I will say it does look a little absurd. Like it looks a little Bad Boys 2 absurd. And I I'm fine with that. I just Bad Boys for Life kind of brought it back and made it, a little more grounded. There's still some dumb shit in that movie, but like it kind of brought it down to a level that wasn't Bad Boys 2. I don't know if going back to that over the topness of Bad Boys 2 is really what we need, but as long as it's entertaining, I really don't care. Point is, I'm gonna be there day one. This looks awesome, and if they can stick the net landing, it's gonna be nice to have four solid Bad Boys movies. You know, AJ, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
This trailer is amazing, bro. Tyler sent us that trailer yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. Man, I pressed play on that trailer, and yes, the beginning is, it's kind of straightforward. First of all, you have an intro with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. They're like, oh yeah, the trailer is coming out and now, and that was kind of funny. And then the trailer started, and I was like, it kind of started with the story, kind of where we left off in the last film, and then like it started going and going, start showing the action more, and I was, wait, hold up. I absolutely love this trailer. The action looks phenomenal. Especially like specifically that shot where they're like, it's the POV of the gun, and
Yes,
they
he throws
throw
the
the
gun.
gun.
It's
That, and
awesome.
then that was amazing to me.
The helicopter part looks nuts too.
That too. I absolutely love this trailer, mainly because of the action, but I'm cool with the story too. The whole thing with, Captain, being part of the cartel and all that, like I was like, that's weird. And then like 2 seconds later, they were like, oh, we got to
Yeah,
clear his name. So I was like, okay, I get it. I get kind of why they did that. I think it was to shock the audience too, and then bring us back. So I kind of liked how they did that.
I love
Um,
the line where he's like, "Oh, clear my name, my bad boys." I said,
yeah,
right
it's
there,
so corny, but it works so
right
well.
there, Captain
Um,
Howard.
yeah, so Bad Boys 2 is my favorite of the franchise.
Oh,
So
really?
kind of like, yeah, it is. And having that type of action in this trailer gets me so hyped. I love the over the top craziness. Like I love that stuff. So I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I wanna. I kind of want to watch the highway chase to Bad Boys 2 right now,
Bad
cause
Boys 2
bro,
is too long, but other than that, like I
the
really enjoy it.
highway chase. Oh my
It's so
god, the
good.
highway chase. The highway chase, bro. That is. Listen, people give Michael Bay so much crap. You cannot watch that action sequence and tell me he can't direct that action sequence, bro. That is one of the greatest action sequences ever, bro. That amazing.
Chef's
Kevin, what are your
kiss.
thoughts on the trailer?
This was an awesome trailer. I really enjoyed my time with this. Um, the action just looks, I guess you could say over the top, but this is, I guess the characters are so charismatic. Like Will Smith is being Will Smith. You just can't get mad or even like a little bit like irked by the craziness of the action because you just know these characters are just having so much fun with it. So it's like, yeah, it's over the top. Like we know, so we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So I
Mhm.
really love that sense of the trailer. Um,
Would you say
and
the
yeah,
action slapped?
the action indeed slapped.
Go on.
uh, no, there wasn't much more I could say. I
Okay.
just really enjoyed that trailer. I do think that this movie made a grave mistake, or at least the last movie made a grave mistake of calling itself Bad Boys for Life.
Yes.
Um, so it makes me think they must have not have anticipated making a fourth movie
No,
because
they
that
did.
would have
They
They,
definitely they had greenlit both of them back to back.
mm,
They had
then
the
then they're stupid then.
yeah. And it's funny hearing the title for this. I was like, man, the title for this would have worked for the
or
last one
flip
more.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Point is, what's whatever, bro. They're fucking titles. Point is,
Yeah.
I love the last one. This one looks awesome. This looks like the quintessential summer blockbuster. I can't
It
wait.
does.
This is I can't wait. And we're gonna do a watch along for Bad Boys for Life before it. I can't wait, bro. That's gonna be a blast. I'm ready for that. So if you guys have seen the trailer for Bad Boys Ride or Die, let us know down below how you feel about it. Did you enjoy it? Are you excited for it? Or do you think they're going a little bit over the top? Also, what are your thoughts on the Bad Boys franchise? Like I said, I love that franchise. It's awesome. Moving on to the first of two big topics today, the Spider Within short film thoughts. So, for those who don't know what this is, um, they had announced Sony had announced a while back that there was going to be a short film from the universe of Into the Spider Verse, and it was going to feature Miles Morales having an anxiety attack, and that was really it. We hadn't heard about it. Across the Spider Verse came out. We had thought it was going to come out before that movie. It didn't. We had thought, well, okay, maybe it's going to be on the 4K. That didn't happen, and we hadn't heard anything about it. And then, literally, like 2 days ago, oh, teaser. Oh, it's coming in like 2 days. Okay, it'll be on YouTube for free. I was like, well, okay, I guess.
They probably looked
Um,
into their hard drive and like, oh shit,
They're
we
waiting
did
until
say
after
this
the
was coming.
Oscars so it can
yeah.
be up for Oscars next year.
So if you guys
Shit
don't want to know
knowledge.
anything about it, it's only 7 minutes. You guys can go. It's free
It's
on
really
YouTube
five
right now.
minutes
Yeah,
minus
it's really
credits.
5 minutes. Which is stupid, by the way. The short is on YouTube for free. You guys can go check it out and then come back and hear what we have to say about it. Um, I'm gonna keep it brief because the short film was brief. Um, I thought this was fine. You know, I was actually a little disappointed because I feel like it was kind of hyped up. Like,
Yes, I agree.
and I was a little let down because the whole premise was, oh, it's Miles fighting an anxiety attack, and I was like, okay, that could work.
Mhm.
And it started out, and I was like, all right, but if I didn't know that going in, I would have never guessed that's what this was. First of all, you cannot convince me this was not supposed to come out in October. This is 100% a Halloween short film.
That's a
It's
horror short film for
and
sure.
I'm pretty sure did Across the Spider Verse come out on 4K in October? I feel like it did.
Can't remember.
If it did, then I don't understand why this was not on there. Unless it wasn't finished being animated, then fine. Um, but I was just kind of let down. I was like, I mean, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed my time with it, all 5 minutes of it. But when it just ended, I was like, okay, that happened, I guess. Like, is the animation good? Of course, the animation is good, you know. And I like the setup for it, you know. But I feel like this shouldn't have been 5 minutes. It should have been like 20 at least, so that way we could understand, what is actually happening. Because I feel like it is very unclear what is actually happening,
Came out in September.
other than oh, Miles is being attacked by this thing,
Hmm.
and he's like having visions. Okay, I didn't know that that was supposed to be anxiety. You
Well,
know,
they kind of showed what was like on his mind at the beginning of the short film.
yeah, that part, that was the setup, and I liked that. But I feel like it didn't really, go into it,
Mhm.
and that's why when it finished, I was like, all right, I guess, like,
Yeah.
all right, now I'm probably never gonna watch it again. It's
Mm.
whatever. I'm sure people will watch it and be like, oh, this hit me. right to my core. Oh, my spider, my desires for Beyond the Spider-Verse have been, filled a little bit while I wait for Sony to give me a damn release date because they wanted to fast track Beyond the Spider-Verse. You know, um, I don't know. I was let down by it, but I'm not really upset by it because it's 5 minutes, but I don't know. I thought it should have been way more. What are you guys' thoughts on the short film?
I I felt like this should have been the first time we should have heard about this was 2 days ago, and that would have
Mm-hmm.
been a lot better. And I feel like we would all be a lot more satisfied with it because, like, this was talked about so much. Oh, the short film. Oh, there's a short film, and me and Tyler were like, oh, it's about to come out before the movie, or like during the movie, like before the movie starts, and
That's
that
what they
never
should have
happened.
done.
that's exactly what this should have been.
For five
Made it
minutes, it
like a
probably could have been
Pixar.
in the movie.
Yes. Because it doesn't really work for what happens at the end of Across the Spider Verse, because we know Miles is in a specific place right now. So I don't really know where this is in the timeline. I don't know if it's canon, if it needs to be canon, probably not, but it's just like it's kind of weird. But the short film itself was fine. I did like the tone of the film, and like if felt like they were trying to go with like a 3-act structure a little bit. They kind of had a setup, and where Miles is like, you could see like the different things, the different panels coming together behind him of things that are on his mind, the anxiety that he's having. Then he, talks to his dad and he's like, come on, hang out. And he's like, no, I don't feel like it. Goes to his room, gets attacked by anxiety, this dark figure or whatever, turns into a spider on the train, all that happens. Then at towards the end of the trailer, he kind of realizes, yo, I need to talk to somebody. I need to let this out. I need to get this anxiety off my chest. And that was kind of like the conclusion with him and his dad walking down the street talking. And I liked, everything that happened. It happened so fast to where it was just like, oh, okay, it's over. I was looking at the time during it, and I had like 2 more minutes left, and it was over. I was like, that must be the credits then. So I don't know. I think it was just we heard about this too early. I think if we would have heard about it a couple days ago and they dropped it today, it would have been like, oh, that Spider Verse thing was cool. But it's kind of a disappointment, honestly. But yeah.
uh, I have a terrible memory. So, despite the fact that this was announced like last year, it was in the back of my mind like forever. Like people were like, "Oh, Spider Within is gonna come out soon," and I'm just like, "Oh, that's a thing. Okay, I'll keep that in mind." A couple days ago, "Oh, it's actually coming out." I'm just like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool."
What is it again?
Um,
Who?
you guys say this should have came out before the movie because it was before the movie, Across the Spider Verse. I don't think it wouldn't make any difference because, to be honest, considering where Into the Spider Verse finished and where Across the Spider Verse started off, this doesn't feel like something that should have fit in there. Like the idea of Spider Miles having this anxiety attack. I'm just like, there wasn't anything in Into the Spider Verse that really led me to believe that he would have this anxiety attack, and there wasn't really anything at the beginning of Across the Spider Verse that would have led me to believe that he's having an anxiety attack. As far as like having all this mounting pressure on him as Spider Man, like the only real like deep problem that he had starting off Across the Spider Verse was the fact that he felt like, oh, he hasn't heard from his friends in so long. He hasn't heard from Gwen. He hasn't heard from Peter B. He hasn't heard from all these people that he met. Where that's where his troubles began. But as far as anxiety as having pressure as Spider-Man, there wasn't really anything in Across or Into that really led me to believe this was going to be a case.
Mhm.
So them setting it up, and as far as like mounting pressure, I'm just like, okay, it's cool. I mean, you need to tell us this because there wasn't really anything in Into the Spider Verse that led me to believe that this was going to happen. And I do really enjoy this physical or mental manifestation of anxiety, like attacking him. That was a really dope sequence. The ending was pretty cool. But again, this felt like I don't know if you guys remember when Puss in Boots 2 came out, everybody on the internet was freaking out over that one scene of Puss having that anxiety attack. It felt like, okay, that's all I know. Like Miles had this 3 minute sequence where he's having a really mental manifestation of an anxiety attack, and that's just it. Like there wasn't anything leading up to it. There wasn't really anything that he came out of it. The only thing that he came out of it was the idea that, oh, he should probably talk to his dad. And I'm just like, well, that message could have been made a little more clearer in this version, because all that happened was that anxiety attacked him and he's like, oh, I should probably talk to my dad. Hey dad, let's go for a walk. All right, story's over. Like there wasn't really anything that led me to believe that, oh yeah, this is the lesson that Miles came out of. Let's go talk. Like I don't know. It's cool. I really, really enjoyed that sequence, but what happened before and what happened after just didn't make any sense to me. I'm just like, okay, it's there. I think they just wanted to show off the sequence. It's like when fans wanted to show off the Puss in Boots sequence of his anxiety attack. Like, okay, that's it. Is that really what we're gonna take away from this? All right, it's cool. It's a great sequence, but there wasn't really anything to take away from it, you know. So that's really my thoughts. It's cool. It's just I don't think it was worth it. Like I don't think it was worth like Tyler said, people are gonna eat this up because it's an anxiety attack with Spider-Man, and anything that has to do with dark tones, people are gonna eat up. So they're gonna eat that up and say it's a great short, but in all reality, it's not really that great. It's dope. The sequence was dope, but that's all it is really.
There it is. Like I said, it was kind of just whatever for me. It didn't kill any hype I had for Beyond the Spider Verse.
Didn't ask
Obviously
any.
not. Yeah. But it was kind of just there. If you guys have seen this short, let us know down below what you thought of it. Did you actually really enjoy it? Did this make you any more excited for Beyond the Spider Verse? If it did, it did. More power to you. Moving on to our main topic of the night. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire spoiler talk. This will be a completely spoiler filled stream, section portion of the stream. If you guys have not seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, now is your chance to exit the venue and come back when you have seen it. Me and AJ both have spoiler free reviews on our Instagrams, so go check those out if you have not already. And let's get into it. So Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, man. I was very excited for this movie. This was, I think, my number 10 on my number 9, because I think The Strangers is my number 10. Number 9 on my most anticipated movies of the year. I love Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I mean, Afterlife. No, 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 no.
No, rewind.
Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters Afterlife. I love that movie. And the first Ghostbusters I love. That is a childhood classic. Ghostbusters 2 is bleh, it's fine. And 2016 is 2016. Um so I walked into this movie actually very excited. There were some reviews saying, "Oh, it wasn't that great." I was like, you know what? Forget y'all, bro. Because some of y'all said the same thing about Afterlife, and I love that movie. I walked in, I was like, "Yo, let's go, bro. We about to, bust some ghosts. Ghostbusters. Let's go." And about 30 minutes into this movie, I texted AJ saying, "Yo, this movie is kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie, bro." And about an hour or so, Kevin texted me saying, "Yo, are you like really bored?" I was like, "Yes, yes." He was like, "I don't know what it is. This movie is just kind of not hitting." I was like, "Yo, this movie is fucking bad, bro. I'm sorry." I'm not gonna, lose my mind over this because it's kind of just whatever. But I will tell you, this is one of the biggest disappointments I felt in a long time, because I did not think this movie was gonna end up like this, because the trailers were very good and the last movie was very good. So there was really no reason for this movie to not be good. And yet somehow when I walked out of this movie, I was like, "Yo, that kind of sucked." Ghostbusters Frozen Empire was a colossal disappointment. There are good things. Most of them are technical aspects, but there are good things about this movie. But overall, I thought this movie was honestly a mess and very disappointing. And this was like Afterlife took 2 steps forward. Frozen Empire took like 8 steps back. And when this was over, I was kind of like, man, they're probably gonna do a third one. I don't want them to do a third one. I've had enough of this, to be honest. I don't know. I was very this movie just felt like a whole bunch of nothing to me. Um, I don't know. It was very, very disappointing. AJ, what are your thoughts on Frozen Empire?
um, there are only really two movies that I was really excited for this year, which is Dune and the Demon Slayer joint. I can't remember if this was on my top 10 most anticipated of the year. I was mildly anticipating this film because I do like Afterlife. I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. Um, but I walked in with mild expectations. I know I went on Sunday, so you guys had already seen it, told me it was terrible. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind, but I was like, I'm gonna give it a fair shot. Um, Watching this movie, it had me really torn because although I don't think it is a necessarily a bad movie because there are elements there of a good movie, but it's just a mess. I don't know what was going on in the writers' room. I feel like the dialogue was really bad and the script was really bad. But there are like positive elements to the script. I won't say the dialogue, but the script has some elements that are positive. But the way it was executed, the way it was interwoven throughout the film made it just really boring, number one, and just really overall messy. So we'll get into details about that, but I'll just leave it at I was very torn with this movie because there are elements that I really loved.
Kevin?
Okay. So I rewatched Afterlife like the day before Frozen. I saw Frozen Empire, and I almost forgot like how charming it is with its nostalgia aspect of it. Because Afterlife was very positively like a nostalgia. I don't want to say bait because they used it very well, but it was like a very nostalgia heavy movie where it kind of like here are these new characters. They don't know anything about the Ghostbusters world, but they are exploring these Ghostbusters things with the nostalgia. And I felt like, oh, this worked really well, and all the characters that they introduced to it felt natural. And first of all, they were actually funny, but they felt natural into their interactions and the actual world and the actual story that they're building up to, which is the mysteriousness of this threat that's coming to their town. In Frozen Empire, first of all, I don't know what business that any of them had going into this that they were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna head to New York City. I think that's kind of one of the first bigger issues with that movie for me because I'm just like, I was like, in Afterlife, you set up these characters in this isolated town that has to do with what happens in that town. So I'm just sitting there like they kind of moved to New York a little way too quickly for me. But I guess again they just wanted to appeal to the nostalgia factor of them being in the city while all this was happening. But like AJ said, this was a mess. I also watched Godzilla vs. Kong today, and I had the same complaint that I had with Frozen Empire, which was the fact that I felt like there were too many characters for their own good. You had various
I
different
agree.
plot lines that should not have occurred. There were various different characters that were given screen time that I felt like had nothing to do with the main story whatsoever, the main mysteriousness of the threat whatsoever, to the point where I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, you had Finn Wolfhard's character have no actual, like, character growth, even if it's minor, no actual character growth. His scenes amounted to the fact that he was just a brother to Phoebe, and that was about it. Other than that, he had fuck all scenes. Um, Gary and Phoebe, I felt like backpacked this movie. Like everything related to them, I very much enjoyed. Aside from one moment with Phoebe, which we'll talk about later on, where I'm just like, you're stupid for this.
Moment.
But
Respectfully.
other than that, I very much enjoyed the development of those two characters, and I felt like if they just removed like half of our characters in this movie, as far as like giving them meaningful scenes, and just implemented the actual story into our characters development, that would have worked a lot better. And I think it's just a mess. It's just something where I'm just like, what's going on here? I don't need to pay attention to this. Like, if I was watching this at home and I had the ability to skip, I would have skipped like half of these characters as far as like what they had to do in this movie.
As soon as you see
And
Finn
if I
Wolfhard go to the attic,
skip,
skip,
Yo,
skip, we're done. We're done.
skip.
oh man. All
um,
right.
but yeah, that was really it. Just yeah, let's get into it.
So I think my biggest issue with this movie is the wasted potential that this movie is. Right off the bat, the main issue that people had with Afterlife was, oh, it was too safe, and they did the same villains. That was my biggest issue too. Is oh, they did the same villains again. They did Gozar and Zool and all that. While I enjoyed it, I was like, okay, let's do another villain. Let's do a brand new villain, and they did that. They were like, yo, we're gonna have this new villain that it's gonna cause a new ice age. The opening scene to this movie is the best part of this movie. The opening scene to this movie happened, and I was like, yo, this is about to be like the best Ghostbusters movie ever. Because they leaned into the horror, and it was actually pretty fucking crazy.
Mhm.
Like it starts out, and these guys enter this room. The firefighters, they enter this room, and some things happen, but all these bodies are frozen, and they start popping off like water balloons, and they start dying. I was like, "Yo, what? That's the
Mhm.
craziest thing we've ever seen in a Ghostbusters movie." From there on, this movie plummeted and never got back up at all. I was just like, man, what the fuck? What happened? You know, everything you saw in the trailer, the ice, that the background that we have, all that. Guess what? That's the last 10 minutes of the fucking movie. You know what the rest of the hour and 50 minutes of this movie was? Our characters walking around doing nothing and getting nothing but exposition. That's all this movie was. And it's nothing but exposition, sequences that have no effect on the movie, and horrendous jokes. The humor in this movie is god awful. There are maybe two parts that I laughed at. For the most part, this movie just was not funny. And I don't understand why they doubled down on the humor. I understand the first Ghostbusters movie is a comedy. It's a comedy, but it's smart comedy. It is comedy that you have to use your brain to actually process and understand. But it also has Bill Murray in his prime. you know, this movie was just not funny at many, many points. There were many points where it was just like, okay, I guess. And the jokes that do land, they're very like lowbrow humor. Like Paul Rudd saying, "Oh, busted makes me feel good." It's like, okay, all right, I guess.
I mean, that is in the
Um,
song, but
yeah, it's like okay, like, aha, you made a sex joke out of the song. Yeah, you're the
yeah,
first one to do that one.
right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, the humor was just not hitting, and so much of this movie is humor. So
It
when it's
is.
not hitting, that's like half the movie I don't like.
Yeah, and it's like
And then,
over and over and over again, like
yo,
rolling your
oh
eyes.
man,
Like
you know,
you would feel a joke coming on, and you're like, oh, brother, and then it like the punchline gets there, and you're like, ah,
in terms of the things that I liked, the movie looks fine. It's directed okay. There's a fun action sequence in the beginning in the Ecto one. I like that. Granted, pretty much all of it was shown in the trailer. Um, the effects and CGI are all good, Although that one little, I don't remember what they call that ghost in the beginning that they
like
were
the sewer
chasing.
ghost.
Yeah, it looked a little weird, a
Mhm.
little weird, but it looked fine. Um, I don't. I'm gonna call him the mayor. I'm not gonna call him what Bill Murray calls him because let's be nice. But the mayor, I love seeing him. Even the couple people that I was seeing it with, they were like, "Hey, he's back." I enjoyed him. He slips right back into that role. Is it nostalgia bait? Sure. I don't care. I enjoyed him. I think I might have enjoyed him more here than the original because I love when everything is going haywire in the movie and he just comes out. He's like, "You finally done it. You've destroyed the city. I'm gonna shut you down once and for all." That was hilarious. Um, Dan Aykroyd, of all people, was the standout of this movie for me. I think he probably had other than Paul Rudd. I think he had the best character arc because he is going on this adventure with Phoebe and podcast, and he has a great scene with what's it, Winston? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Winston.
Hmm.
And Winston is telling him, "Oh, like, why are you doing this? Like
Yeah.
you're way out of your element
Yeah.
here.
We're old.
Like you're supposed yeah, like we're supposed to be retired
We're washed,
and
man.
like you're supposed to be exploring things to do in the world." And he tells him, "This is what I
This
want to
is.
do."
Mhm.
I really liked that line. I was like,
Me too.
"Yo," I was like, "Right, I feel you," because he's always been kind of the goofball. Well, they're all idiots, but
Yeah.
he's
But
he's been
mhm.
the one that's like really jokey in the group, and to see him be like, "No, I don't want to move on. I love being a Ghostbuster." I was like, right there, I feel that. Paul Rudd's character, I like his arc. He's one of the few that actually has an arc that starts and
And
ends in
ends.
the
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
And I
A
liked where his
well-rounded
arc
arc.
ended. I like his role in the movie, how he's trying to be Phoebe's dad and he doesn't really know how to, and the mom tells him, "Listen, you got to be an asshole," basically. And I like the scene where he tells her like, "Oh, you're grounded. Like you need to
Yeah.
stop this
We're
and get serious." That was actually a
yeah.
really
We're
good scene.
doing this for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that scene a lot actually. The acting in that scene was very good. And I like how the mom asked him like, "Oh, it doesn't feel good, right?" He's like, "No, this sucks."
Mhm.
I liked that. There's a moment in the third act that I like with Phoebe where she alters her proton pack to fight off
Yeah.
the ghost.
That
That
was
was really
raw.
cool.
She
That
like
was really
dipped
cool.
part of it in bronze or something like
Yeah,
that, and
something like that.
yeah, and then she like the actual beam
Yeah,
like
it
is
changed.
it changes color, and I dug that a lot.
That was really cool. That was like the best Ghostbusters moment in the movie. I was like, all right, like let's go, man.
To clarify, it was because the original beam or whatever was not working with the villain. Like the villain
Hmm.
could freeze that original beam.
Yeah.
So I yeah, that was dope for me.
Um. Beyond that, I pretty much disliked to hated everything else in this movie. I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
My biggest issue with this movie, there's two big things well, three. I already talked about the humor. The other two things that drag this movie down, the amount of characters in this movie. Holy shit, bro. You've got the original characters plus the secretary and the mayor. They weren't in Afterlife. Well, no, the secretary showed
She
up like
was, but
once.
she wasn't.
But
Yeah, she wasn't
yeah,
part
she
of the
was
team.
a cameo. She is in this movie the whole time. Then the mayor is back. So that's two added characters on top of the OG characters that already showed up in Afterlife. Then you have every single person from Afterlife coming back to this movie. And then on top of that, you're adding more characters. And
Yeah,
the movie feels the need to give every single character something to do, no matter how small or how stupid it is. And that is the biggest mistake this movie does. Instead of just having like, oh, one group is the OG cat, like Jurassic World Dominion. That movie is not good. Like that, But the point is, I think something that it did well was having the OG cast doing their thing and then the Jurassic World people in one big group. The point is they should have all been bundled together instead of having 18 different side plots going on because the script decided to give them all something to do. Um Finn Wolfhard, I honestly, I love him. I do. I thought he was atrocious in this movie. He has some of the worst lines in this movie. And his role in this movie is literally catching Slimer in the attic. There are
That's
three
it.
scenes where he has to catch Slimer in the attic. Just for the geeks in the theater to go, oh, Slimer, I'm I'm past this shit, bro. You did it in Afterlife. It was cool seeing the ghosts that we seen before. The Stay Puft Marshall. Fine. I am over this shit. You proved that the franchise was back with Afterlife, and what you were supposed to do with Frozen Empire was take it to the next level. You gave us a new villain. You gave us higher stakes. You showed that you were gonna go and push the horror elements more. But instead of doing all that, you give us that for maybe 5 minutes, and then the rest is just more nostalgia bait bullshit. I am over this. I'm over it. And that's why I don't care to see another Ghostbusters movie. Because if you didn't do it with this movie, why are you going to do it with the next one? The Back to the characters thing, Phoebe's arc, it started out okay.
Hmm.
I liked her arc where the mayor's like, no, you're like 2 years old, bro.
Yep.
You're not being a Ghostbuster. And I like that they kept going out to fight ghosts, and we see her reaction to being, being forced to stay back. I liked that. And then we get to the scene in the park where she's playing chess. She takes out the chess piece. She's gonna play chess. I thought, although it would have been weird, I thought who was moving the pieces was Harold Ramis, and
Hmm.
somehow they were gonna have a scene with Harold Ramis. I don't know how. Maybe he just would have been, a silent ghost, but playing
Hmm.
with her.
Yeah.
And I was
Kind of
like,
like in
oh,
Afterlife.
yeah, I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And then when they revealed it's just another twerp, I was like, oh,
I had no idea who that was. I mean, we, didn't know, but like it was not in the trail advertised in the trailer that this
no.
character was going to
And
be
there's
there.
a reason
I'm
for
like,
that.
who is
This
this?
this is probably, other than the whole thing with Finn Wolfhard and Slimer, this is the worst part of the. No, maybe it's the worst part. I don't know, because there's another part that I really hated, but this is like one of the worst things in this movie. I don't know where this came from. And I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to show that, like, oh, she's her
Feeling
only
neglected.
friends are
Yeah.
like ghosts or whatever,
Hmm.
and maybe they were hinting at her sexuality a little bit. That's neither here nor there. I don't really care. If they did, fine. If not, whatever. Um, my issue is this character is a fucking charisma vacuum. She has the same monotone tone of dialogue the whole time. And it's a shame because she was in Doctor Sleep, and I thought she was really
Oh
good in
yeah, she
Doctor Sleep.
was in that. I was trying to
Um,
pinpoint where I knew her from,
yeah.
and she was in that.
She was in Doctor Sleep, and she was really good in that.
She was.
She was only in it for like 5 minutes, but she was really good in that.
Yeah.
She is so boring in this movie.
Yeah.
And the scenes where they're walking around, other than one scene in the diner where her and Podcast go after her and she's there, and Podcast is like, "Oh, what are you doing? Take the shot." I like that little
Hmm.
thing. Other than that, their scenes are just so boring, and they slam the brakes on the momentum of this movie.
Yeah.
Um, what else? The Kamal Nanjiani. Oh my god.
Listen, listen,
Oh my
listen,
Don't say
god.
listen. Don't say listen.
listen,
Don't.
listen.
There's no defending that.
I
There's no
like
Listen,
defending that.
Kamal
listen.
Nanjiani,
I love him
Kamal
too.
Nanjiani
I
a
love this
lot,
man. I love him. I
but
do.
this character, it, it just goes down to the writing. It comes down to the writing for me
Everything in this movie
because
comes down to the writing. I think
yes,
they're all good actors.
because these actors are fine. These are fine actors, but the situations that these characters have and go through, and the humor written for this
Bro,
man.
the humor. Oh my god. This was the quietest the theater was. The scene where they go into his house and he's showing them the temp. Oh
Yes,
my god.
really bad.
Oh my god, it was so bad. It was just excuse me. It was just joke after joke after joke after joke that was not hitting. It was like
Yes,
boom, boom, boom,
miss
boom.
joke after miss joke after miss
Yes.
joke. Yes, I know. I
I
was
was
there.
like,
They went like 0 for 10. I was like, how is that
yes,
possible?
bro. I was like,
Like, just
oh
stop.
my god. Yes.
Stop it.
I was like, oh my god, enough already
Be,
with
be
this.
like Halloween 3. Stop it. Stop it.
Yes.
Stop it.
Dude, this character was so cringe,
Uh,
and then what they do with him later, I fucking hated. I did not like that at all. I
I see
didn't.
what
Dude,
they were doing with it.
I was watching this movie and I'm just sitting there like, okay, so I guess he's the guy who's gonna deliver us the Guffin device. Like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, all right. You weren't funny, but it's nice seeing you. See you, uh, in your never happening Eternals too. So I'll catch you then.
Yeah, right.
Uh, and then I was barely paying attention to this movie. Like, I think when I texted Tyler, I was like completely checked out of this movie. I was just like, all right, I'll wait until like when the plot needs to pick up.
Mhm.
And then I just hear out of nowhere, like I'm just like, okay, yeah, this is happening. Oh, you're part of some secret bloodline that can manipulate fire. I'm just like, wait.
You're the Fire Master.
Fire Master.
And
What is
again,
this?
we're going back to the same bullshit from the first movie, bro. Instead of the Key Master, it's the Fire Master. I was like, oh my god, bro. You people cannot escape yourselves, bro. Like, and then what they do with him was so just cringe. I was like,
Dude,
What
I
do you mean
was
by that?
like, I got major issues with the third act, but they were like standing together as a family. The Springers, they were standing together as a family.
that was
About
cool.
to take on him. I was just like, okay, maybe this movie. Okay, let's see what they got. And then he fucking comes in with the fucking stupid lighter joke. I'm just like, okay, yeah.
Yo, oh man.
You just, I was there with my sister, and I don't think I've ever like, I think I whispered to my sister. I was just like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever had to do that to her. I was just like, I'm sorry. Well, I was just face palming. I was just like, bro, what
They
the fuck
had
is this?
they had so many opportunities to make this such a cool third act. And I do like the part where Phoebe eventually defeats the villain and they all like put their hands on the gun or the proton, whatever the hell it's called.
Black.
That was neat. But this third act just felt like such a whatever third act. Let's get into the villain, man.
We might have different thoughts on this.
Let me go first because
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go
Okay.
to major third act. Again, this movie's major issue was just not leading anywhere into the story. So like even the villain didn't seem like frightening enough, other than the first scene. Because once the movie was just going and doing nothing, I'm just like, okay. So when he shows up, they're just like, this isn't rewarding. This isn't me being like, oh my god, they just let this motherfucker out. I'm just like,
Kind of
oh,
comes out of
okay,
nowhere.
we're here. Yeah. And then, first of all, one thing I really hated about the third act, which is why I was very disappointed, you look at the trailers, you look at this poster. In fact, the very first scenes we got of this movie from the trailers
Come from the last 30 minutes of this movie.
not just that, we see an entire beach get frozen over. That looks sick. And then it continues on in the movie, it continues on as like freezing New York over. I'm just like, this looks dope. Imagine what we could do with that. They did nothing. It waited until we had that for 10 minutes, maybe had like one conversation outside on the rooftop. I guess just to remind the audience of just like, yeah, remember, we are frozen over. This is New York frozen over. And then we're just stuck in the building the entire fucking third act. What the fuck? Remember it in Ghostbusters 1, and imagine this in Ghostbusters Afterlife. The fact that we are actually experiencing the environment of which these ghosts are infecting. In Ghostbusters 1, in the first Ghostbusters, they were invading New York City. So we're actually experiencing this catastrophe happening in New York City. Now we're not getting that. Now we're just in New York City. It's frozen over, and then we're just like, yeah, the city, it's there. Remember, it's frozen over, but we gotta focus on the indoors portion. And I think they specifically pointed the camera and the villain outside just to remind us, yeah, this villain can like freeze you over. Look behind him. Look what he did. Look what he did to our block. Like, okay.
Oh man, he froze some cars. What a menace.
And
And even even the 2016 one had a better third act than this. Because the 2016 one, it had like all these ghosts flying around, all these really cool designs, and they were taking out the ghosts with their different weapons and stuff. Even Ghostbusters 2, they in the Statue of Liberty. Like that's so cool. And this movie, they're just in the firehouse. Yay.
And I guarantee you, this would be like one of those sitcoms. You know how those sitcoms just had like all these different sets, but they're like, kind of like indoors, but not like in the same space. They're just like, all right, here's one set. All right, we're gonna move the audience over to this next set. That's what I feel like the start act was. I'm just like, all right, here's this one set that we have of the
Oh,
firehouse. It
yeah.
looks cool. And then, oh yeah, let's move to this other set of the supposedly downstairs area of the firehouse. They keep cutting it back and forth to the point where I'm just like, so are these guys even in the same building as each other? Like, I don't think they're in the same building. I think we're in the same building, but like in different sets entirely.
I
Like,
think,
I don't believe that this is downstairs. I don't believe that this is below us.
yeah,
I have no firm belief this is below us. I don't have firm belief that whatever's happening up there is happening up there. I believe whatever's happening up there is happening to the side.
I think for no question, the ending of this movie in terms of like the beach getting frozen and New York getting frozen, that should have been the first 20 minutes of the movie.
It should have been. Yes.
That's
Or even
what
like the
should
second,
have.
or even like halfway through. Like even then, that would have been fine, or
No,
at least a large majority of the movie.
not halfway through, because I want the entire second act of this movie omitted from this movie. Bro, if you take and have New York frozen the whole time, immediately the stakes go from here to here. And it makes the movie that much more investing because it's like, oh man, everyone's getting frozen. And the other thing they should have done, which I thought they were going to do in the trailer, but I guess not, have the characters get frozen and get picked off. Like, obviously, they don't die, but have them get frozen. They try to take out this villain and then they get frozen. And it's like up to Phoebe, maybe, to stop everything. How much better would that be than, oh, we just did something to the proton pack and now we can just take him out and this dude could wield fire for some reason like he's fucking Zuko. Like, bro, come on, bro.
And I think the worst part was that when they did all of that at the end, they weren't even like doing any actual damage to him. They weren't like thwarting his plans whatsoever. It was literally all just stalling time until they got the little containment center below them to actually get to work. They're just like, all right, let's get this to work. All right, and boom. And then now they're done. Like, I think Kumail was just like, I can't hold this much longer. I'm just like, is that all you guys can do? Just hold him? That's it? Like, okay. That third act was just so like annoying. I was just like, I would have much rather the third act of Afterlife. Just repeat that. It kind of is a repeat, but not even like to an extent where it's like, oh yeah, these guys are important. Like nobody's important in this movie. Nobody is.
Like, I love the villain, the aesthetic of the villain anyway, but bro, like the whole marketing for this movie is fucking clickbait, bro. The trailers and the poster, we all got excited because we are like, yo, like New York's gonna be frozen over and they're gonna lead into the horror. Yeah. That is literally the last 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah. And of the last 20 minutes of the movie, 15 of them are in the damn firehouse. Yeah. So what did you really accomplish other than getting me in the seat, of which I was already going to be in said seat because it's fucking Ghostbusters?
Yeah, you described it perfectly. Clickbait. It's clickbait, bro.
Oh, we'll get them in the seats. It's just like fucking Madam Web. Everyone got it. Oh, well, excited, but everyone like people were remotely interested. The people that were kind of excited for that movie, they were like, "Oh man, I can't wait to see Sydney Sweeney and all of them in Spider-Girl suits, and they're gonna be kicking ass." And fucking Sony was like, "Oh, that's only 10 seconds of the movie, but we'll put it in the trailers to get them excited for it." Thanks for your money, you motherfuckers. And look what happened. That is literally 5 seconds of that movie.
Dang.
People, I think this points to a larger issue when it comes with these studios, because I even saw a video about like the revitalization of 90s cartoons where people are afraid of the wrong lessons being learned from these movies. Ghostbusters Afterlife was, for all intents and purposes, made to kind of build you up with nostalgia and then get you to the end. The problem is that they learned the wrong lessons from this movie. The lessons wasn't that, oh yeah, here are all this nostalgia bait. We're gonna come back to this. No, the lessons is that these characters are actually doing something important to the story. They had their own arcs, and they were balanced with the humor. That's why it was good. It wasn't that, oh yeah, here's this person. Oh yeah, here's this particular object from the previous installments. Like no, like this movie was just a complete mess, and all they did was just like, oh yeah, remember Finn Wolfhard from the previous movie? And you know how in this movie, in the same movie, in Frozen Empire, we are building an arc of how this family dynamic is supposed to work. How Paul Rudd's character was just like, I don't know how to be a proper dad. Can I be a proper dad? You have Phoebe feeling disconnected from the family. You have the mom trying to keep it all together. Imagine if you gave Finn Wolfhard just a little bit of that same overall family theme. But no, he's just chasing around some green fucking ghost because, oh, people remember the green ghost from the last movie and we need to give it to somebody, so we'll just give it to Finn Wolfhard. Remember Podcast, who was in the previous movie as like an introduction to this new town we were in? Yeah, for some odd reason, he's just now in New York City for whatever the fuck reason.
He
He's
said he
just
told
there
his
for no
mom he
reason.
was in space camp.
Oh,
But
I
he's
don't give a
living with
shit.
a
That
grown
wasn't a
man.
funny joke. Honestly, I felt like that was a stereotypical joke, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Uh-oh.
I was just like, oh yeah, of course he's in space. Of course they're pretending to be in a space station. Yeah. You have, oh, remember this one girl that he had a mild crush on in the previous movie? Oh yeah, she's just
Dude,
interning at the fucking Ghostbusters place.
holy
Shit.
shit, bro.
Nothing in Afterlife led me to believe that she was smart enough to control this thing, but all right, she's
Yo,
there.
I'm convinced this girl cannot act, bro. She was fine in Afterlife, but man, she was awful in Madam Web, and then she was awful in this. Oh my god, I was like, yo, back-to-back months with this? Really? Oh man.
What other characters did they show up with? That was it, really.
Yeah, no, it
Like,
was that one
Pet,
character.
the mom
There
barely
was
had.
that. No,
Other
there
than
was
that,
that
it was
one
in this.
character that you don't really remember, but it's the one where he's like in the lab and he gets like a little bit of shine too in the movie. Do y'all remember that dude?
Yeah, the dude
Yeah,
in the
That
lab.
fuck?
yeah.
Oh, shut up. Bro,
Yeah.
I don't even remember his presence. Speaking of the
know.
lab, you touched on this, Tyler. Part of why I had a gripe with Phoebe is that she made such a dumbass decision. Throughout this entire movie, they built up this little relationship between her and
Melody.
Melody. There we go.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
And I'm just like, all right, there could be something there. Like, you're right, she was bland, but I'm just like, there's something Phoebe's doing. For me, it was really more serving Phoebe than much of anything. And they revealed, like, in the middle of the movie that she was like, oh, she was working for the Master Ghost because I guess they wanted to see her family again. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Of which that went nowhere.
Went nowhere.
And then she, again, correct me if I'm wrong. Unprovoked. This was not provoked by Melody. That Phoebe, and this was unhinted at. This was not hinted at earlier in the movie. They were like, oh yeah, this device can take physical manifestations that these ghosts have taken over, remove the ghost from them, and then that's where we like capture the ghost and put him somewhere. So at no point during this movie was it implied that you can do the same things with humans, that you can take the spirit out of the human and then boom, she's now a human. At no point throughout this movie that was led to believe to be possible. And then on top of that, they're just like, oh yeah, remember the fact that this character is not exactly she's taking advantage of Phoebe. So we're going to give Phoebe an opportunity to royally be a fucking retard. And she's just like, unprovoked. Melody didn't even say, oh, maybe I might feel better if you were a ghost. This was unprovoked. Phoebe was just like,
they didn't even mention
you know
that
what?
at all.
Fuck my human family. I want to be a ghost too. And she went in there, became a ghost, and Melody was like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, you didn't even do anything. This was just prime opportunity for you. She wasn't just like, oh, can you turn into a ghost? Because, I don't have many ghost friends of myself. my family is fucked. Like Phoebe did this unprovoked, and I'm just like, so what the fuck? Like Phoebe, hello, are we retarded? Like she was just, oh my god, that was such a stupid thing. This movie would not have happened had she not done that. This was not like, oh, Melanie used her kindness against her. No, this was Phoebe not being the smartest human
Yes.
in the world. When throughout the entirety of the last two movies, she was a smart person, not socially smart.
smarter than everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody.
she wasn't socially smart, but she was smart. Hopefully, what I had hoped, smarter to know that you probably shouldn't turn yourself into a ghost for some random fuck ghost that you met like a couple of days ago. Like, okay, like that was just my frustration with Phoebe.
It was out of character.
Everything, everything before that, I was like, she was backpacking this movie, and even everything after that, she was backpacking this movie for me.
Mhm.
It
But then
it,
and then that just happened. I'm just like, what are we doing? This movie would never have occurred had you not done that.
It's the writing.
it
The
reminds
writing.
me of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when the girl lets the dinosaurs loose. It's like that is such a retarded ass decision, and if that didn't happen, Jurassic World Dominion doesn't happen. Yes, do I love that it leads to the dinosaurs being in the real world? Sure. But this little girl screwing humanity because she's like, "Oh, they're real like me." I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh Jesus, man."
It's really bad.
Oh, but yeah, this was and also when this happened, I was like, "So we can just do this now?" They like Kevin said, they never established that you can do this with human beings. I was like, "Where did this come from?" You
And it
know,
wasn't even like, oh, and I was just like, does this imply that we all have a ghost in ourselves?
yes,
Like this
that
is,
too.
are we ghosts taking over some random human bodies? Like, oh, okay. Like they were like, oh yeah, here's this object that is taken over by a ghost. So what we're gonna do with this device? We're gonna strip the ghost from this object, put it somewhere else, and then capture it. So is this implying that we ourselves are objects and we are ghosts taking over this human body?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Like that's what this movie's implying to us. This movie isn't saying
Yeah.
like, oh, you can take the spirit. If they said spirit, or you can take some kind of like astral form of whatever is there, I would have been like,
Like
okay, that
Doctor
makes a
Strange.
little more sense. But they were just like, oh yeah, a ghost is taking over this thing. We'll take it out, and then now we have the ghost.
Yeah, and
Not,
then
oh, here's this human.
when Phoebe was back in her body, they just breezed right past it. They were just like, okay, that happened. Let's go.
You know what's the funny thing? It would have been very ironic. Like, just push that whole twist earlier in the movie, and then have that be the um harsh dad moment for Gary, where Gary's like, "What the fuck did you do? Did you just do this shit?" And if Phoebe would have actually felt bad, but instead she felt bad that this happened. And then by the time she's like more healthy enough to actually get into battle, we just glossed over that. I'm just like, okay.
I just think it's a lot better way that they could have done this. First of all, had Melody be have a lot more charisma and like actually connect with Phoebe, because it felt like both of them are monotone. Phoebe's character is written that way in a comical way, so I
Uh-huh.
get that. But having two monotone characters that don't really have very much charisma together is not helping us, the audience, attach to that relationship. So make Melody have a lot more charisma, have that connection be stronger, and don't have Phoebe do one of the stupidest things that anybody has ever done in a supernatural film. It make themselves a ghost. Like that's so dumb. Like have her like read a piece of paper or something to awaken the master ghost or whatever. But
Pull some Evil Dead shit.
yeah, like
Ever
something
find a
like that.
book?
Actually, they did pull a shot from Evil Dead, where they're doing the POV shot. I did like that. Okay,
Ah, nah,
getting it,
shut
yes, getting into the visuals and things like that. I absolutely love this movie technically. The technical aspects of this movie, I really enjoyed, especially the visuals, and like the cinematography was okay, but I really liked the visuals. The editing was great, and the score. I saw this movie in Dolby, so the sound was booming, my chair was shaking, and as soon as I don't even know the name of the ghost with the horns.
Neither do
Um,
I.
so I mean, whenever he showed up on screen, especially when Phoebe like went into it, said those words or whatever, the whole like screen basically went black and you could see his eyes, and he says something, it's like I'm like, yo, and it like made my chair like move, and I was like, yo,
I
this
guess
is so
I guess your Dolby was better than mine because I didn't really have that experience. I saw it in Dolby too, and it was kind of just fine. I don't know.
oh man. Yeah, like my experience with the sound, the visuals, the CG was great as well, in my opinion. So like technically this movie, they were in a bag with the technical aspects of this film. It was just the writing. They just dropped the ball on the writing. They fumbled. They did.
Another issue that I have with this movie is that it feels like so many scenes are just scenes to happen.
Going through the
There's a
motions.
there's a scene in this movie where Dan Aykroyd podcast and Phoebe they go back to the library and we need more of that nostalgia bait. They find of course they find the ghost in the library. I was like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this stupid little ghost that it can go into like
Possessor.
inanimate objects,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess this was supposed to be comedic the first time he shows up because he's like pew, 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 into the things or whatever. I was like, okay, I guess. So then he ends up in the library and he like goes into this trash bag
Mm-hmm.
and he's running around the library as a trash bag. I
Yeah,
was
because he's
like,
trying to get the, I guess, the record or whatever.
yeah.
So they put the record in the trash bag, possessed it, so they could take it to the master ghost or whatever.
I was like, this is so cringe. It felt like a scene for 2 year olds. I was like, this is not funny at all. Um, Also, Patton Oswald, he might as well have just taken a stamp and stamped exposition on his forehead
He was
because
just
that's
there for
all he
exposition.
is. I love Patton Oswald. He has a couple good lines. I like
Mm-hmm.
when after he describes this terrible, horrific story, he's like, "Oh, it's so cool, right?" I liked that, but
Mm-hmm.
again, he's just exposition, and that's really all this movie is. It's just nothing but explaining things. They essentially what they do is they hype up this villain, and then when
Mm-hmm.
he finally shows up, he gets folded in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You
He
know,
should have
like
been in the movie throughout.
like I said, he should have been introduced 20 minutes into this movie. He should have been picking off the family. When I say picking off, I mean he should have been freezing the family, but they should have been freezing one by one until like Phoebe was like the last one and she had to take them on. I think that would have been so much more investing, and it gives a lot more of the characters things to do instead of just having Finn Wolfhard be in the attic chasing Slimer with flaming hot Cheetos, which is a scene that happens in this movie. I
I think that the only now this is not defending the decision to wait until the final 20 minutes to reveal the villain and like his powers. But I think the only reason why that probably wouldn't have worked to some extent is the fact that I don't think it would be smart to have humans frozen for an entire movie, what probably would have been like a good couple of days, and assume that they survive. Like I think the first scene established that they probably wouldn't have survived any longer than like a couple of minutes.
mean, they
You
could
know,
pull their nonsense of
I
after 3 days the death chill kills.
I know
Right.
they could like establish some other ghostly ability that makes it so that way they're not really dead, but they will be. Or if you fuck with the icicle in any type of way, like when you're when you're frozen over Sub Zero and you chop something off, like it's actually chopped off. Like it probably could have established some little thing like that. But that's probably the only defense I could probably give for that part. Where I'm just like, they probably wouldn't have survived for as much as they did. But other than that, I'm just like, well, thank you for showing him at the end of the movie. You guys remembered you had the villain, so that's dope.
I mean, I feel like this movie could have started off, and then honestly, it could have ex- it could have spanned over a day or two. That could have made sense. It didn't have to, last as long as it did. Even
Or
like
just
with
wipe out
with
like
the
half the
villain, yeah.
characters. Honestly, just wipe out half the characters
I
because of the
mean,
whole point of the premise of
not,
the movie that they started off
like
with.
kill
Sorry,
them. Is that what you're
no,
saying?
no, no, no. I'm
Remove
talking like
them.
just not include them in the movie. That's what I meant.
Oh,
They don't need to be here, bro. They
you could have
don't.
Like
taken out Finn Wolfhard's character easily,
I don't think so
in
because
my
I think
opinion.
No,
like
I
the
think
whole
if they
movie, the movie's main theme was that it was this family thing when it comes with Gary, the mom, and Phoebe. So I'm just like, first of all, you could have included Finn Wolfhard's character as part of this like family dynamic that you're building throughout this movie. You can keep the OG characters. Podcast, he doesn't need to be there.
He doesn't need
This
to be
one
there
girl
at all.
does not the
Melody,
the
Lucky,
girlfriend does not need to be
Melody,
there.
yeah.
Not Melody. Well,
Who are
Melanie
you
doesn't
talking
need to
about?
be there either, but
I
like she
thought
could have been done a lot better than she was. So
the
I
girl
felt like
from Madam Web, the
Oh
one
yeah,
that's
she didn't need to be
yeah,
there,
yeah,
and the lab
she
guy
didn't
didn't
need to
need to
be
be
there.
there either.
Yeah, they were just like you could have just made this like a family kind of movie. Like it was a family movie. Like all of these things are family movies, building that family dynamic. And if you kept that family dynamic going, if you introduce new characters, that's fine because you're in a brand new setting. Like again, there's no real reason that podcast should be there. Like they're just like, oh yeah, I'm working with one of the OG characters on this shit. I'm just like, well, he's doing nothing in this movie, And the girl, she's just like, oh, I have an internship. She was not that smart in the previous movie, so I don't know how the fuck you got that job. Other than to say, oh yeah, I've encountered ghosts before. Like, okay. But that's my gripe with that. I'm just like, what are these characters here for? You know, remove like remove those characters, especially Kumail's character. He did not need to be there. Like his whole purpose, just wipe that shit off the map, and then just make it a mystery family themed movie where you're just like these,
With higher
they're struggling
stakes.
to be a proper family. Especially with Gary not being in the picture, how did they interact with him? Because before they just interacted with him, Phoebe as a teacher, Trevor, he's just like, who the fuck are you? But being that he is like their stepdad now, like I would have liked them to build that family dynamic a lot better. A lot more in this movie. Explore that.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like this movie could have just been a lot tighter all around as far as the story. Shave some things off, some plot points, get rid of some characters. Just made it's fairly simple. It's a fairly simple movie. Like you don't have to like add all these elements. Even though some of those elements are well done to starting off, but they just kind of spiral into nothing. So just a tighter written script would have benefited this movie a lot.
yeah. I've pretty much aired all my grievances on this movie. I know people that honestly really enjoyed it, and they say, "Oh, why didn't people like it?" I didn't like it because I found it painfully unfunny and painfully boring. And I don't think that this is what this franchise needs. I feel like they tried dipping into the nostalgia cookie jar again, and I'm over it. It's you should be doing what Star Wars did. Now, I understand people don't like the Last Jedi, but the point is, the Last Jedi isn't the Force Awakens again. The Last Jedi took risks and made a vastly different movie than the Last Jedi. Again, you don't have to agree with the decisions, but you understand what my point. This movie to me played it way too safe and had a honestly horrendous script. And the final result was a movie that was just it was just there. And it felt like a lot of SNL skits. And the I'll probably won't watch it again until we get the eventual third movie. I was very disappointed with this movie. It left me honestly. I was upset, like saddened, not angry. I was sad. I didn't want to go into this movie not like it's fucking Ghostbusters, bro. This is my shit. I should have walked out of this movie. Yo, that was a blast, bro. I can't wait for the next one. I'm just like
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Yeah,
You
I
guys,
remember when the trailer first came out. You was like, "Yo,
bro.
the trailer is out. It looks so good."
Yes, bro.
And I was like, "We'll see." And we saw.
Yeah. Uh, you guys have any more thoughts?
Yeah, I really dug the technical aspects to this movie, but once again, the script was just a mess. Just a tighter script would have made this movie better. That's really all the only complaint I have with this movie. That's it.
All right.
And nothing more to add.
Before,
Kev,
yeah.
Kev, that's it. You don't have nothing else.
Before we move on to our physical media update, we are going to give you guys a ranking of the Ghostbusters movies. I'm pretty sure me and AJ have the same exact ranking.
Maybe we'll see.
More
You
than
looked at
likely.
you
Okay.
look.
The bottom three are they might be
Mm,
different.
I think it's a
Um,
little different. I think it might be a little
but
different.
the top two.
Top two.
Come on.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go first, and like I said, this is probably gonna be pretty quick. But the last one is Ghostbusters 2016. This honestly, I'm gonna be brutally honest. The last these three, I'm gonna be brutally honest. They're kind of tied, and um, watching this movie, believe it or not, made me consider what my bottom one is
Mm.
because it made me feel a lot of the same ways. But
Do you even like this
2016,
franchise?
yeah. 2016 is my last one. I like the technical aspects of this movie, and I do think the chemistry between the four ladies is nice. And they actually do some things in this movie that I kind of like. Like, there's a lot of unique ghost designs, and they actually have like some different proton weapons that I thought were pretty cool. Like, Kate McKinnon had like dual wield pistols. Like, I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Beyond that, this movie's very unfunny. It's very unfunny. They said, "Hey, let's make Bridesmaids but Ghostbusters." Yeah,
Literally, it's the
that was a good idea.
director of Bridesmaids.
Um, it's very unfunny. It's really boring too, and the way they treat the legacy actors is honestly offensive. Like, Bill
Yeah,
Murray gets thrown out a window or something in
yeah.
this movie. I was like,
So
"Oh my
bad.
god."
Like, why did he come
Um,
back for this?
yes. It's a very nothing movie. Number four is Frozen Empire. I just talked about this for an hour and a half. It's a very nothing movie to me again. Number three is Ghostbusters 2. I think this is the best of the three because it has the original cast in it, so it does have that. Um, but this is a very boring movie to me. And it's a very safe movie too. But I enjoy the third act for what it is. But again, I think the thing that keeps this one above the other two below is that the original cast is there and they still have that charm and chemistry. Oh, excuse me. Number two, Ghostbusters Frozen Afterlife. Um
Frozen Afterlife.
very very good, very enjoyable legacy sequel. I love the chemistry with everybody. The third act is one of my favorite third acts ever. I love it. And of course, number one is the original Ghostbusters, childhood favorite of mine, and I love it to this day. That is perfect movie, minus some really dated effects. CGI wise,
Mm,
anyway, the practical effects are really really good. But yeah, number one is Ghostbusters. Love that movie.
all right, I'm gonna be quick with this. I did watch Ghostbusters 2016 because we talked about doing a ranking, and I said, "Is 2016 in this ranking?" And you're like, "Yeah." So I was like, "Well, I better give it a quick watch because I don't remember anything from this movie. I wish I would have left it that way because I don't care for this movie whatsoever. There are, I guess, a few technical elements that I enjoyed, but overall, I
Man
do
gave
not
it a
like this movie.
1 out of 10
I think
enjoyment score.
enjoyment 1 out of 10. Some my critic score is a little higher, but not by much. It's a slapstick comedy, and I don't really like any of these actresses like that. So when you're making a slapstick comedy, I feel like you have to like the comedians that are presenting them. Um I don't really care for them. So, that's my number 5. Number 4 is Ghostbusters 2. Um, Last time I watched this movie, I don't remember much about it, but last time I watched this movie, I remember not enjoying it so much. It was pretty boring to me. So that's my number 4. Number 3 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Like I said, I enjoyed some of the technical aspects, but the script is really messy. Number 2 is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Really enjoy this movie. Last time I watched it, I had a little bit more pacing issues, but the third act is very heartwarming and charming. And the number 1 is Ghostbusters Process of Elimination. Ghostbusters the original. I didn't watch this movie until I was an adult, and first couple times I watched it, it was third time started liking it more. Fourth time I was like, this is a classic to me. So I guess it's kind of like a trend, these 80s movies, not really loving them on the first watch, and then them kind of growing on me, uh, like Beetlejuice. But yep, that is my ranking.
Okay, so this is we all have the same list or us identical list. Um, Now I didn't watch this movie in like years, so but my feelings stay the same when I think back on it. 2016 is last. I thought it was okay, but it was like a whatever. I guess I was just more interested with the female leads because I really did enjoy them when I first watched it. I was just like, oh,
Mm.
it's those guys in the Ghostbusters movie. That would be fun. But they just weren't vibing with me
Literal
at all.
SNL actors.
uh, uh, 5 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. We already know my thoughts. Next is Ghostbusters 2. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it is. Again, like Tyler said, I think the original charm of like the casting just kind of like carries that movie a lot. Next up is Afterlife because I really loved like how they handled the nostalgia because I rewatched it last week and I'm just like, yo, like how they handled the nostalgia in this movie is really dope. Like just seeing that, um, just like kind of like hinting all these things, these characters are more oblivious to it. It's not like, oh my god, look, this is there. No, it's like
Mm.
they're building up to it, and I really very much love that.
Felt more
And then after that,
natural.
it's just the original Ghostbusters because that movie is freaking awesome. That movie is amazing, and I just very much enjoyed that. So yeah, that's just pretty much my rankings. Just pretty much identical across all three, I guess.
Yeah, Ghostbusters is one of those franchises that like. Well, I've seen a couple people say Afterlife isn't that good, but for the most part, everyone's rankings is pretty much the same. Like the number one is more than likely the first one, and if it's not the first one, then it's Afterlife. But
When I first watched Afterlife, it was the first two were this Afterlife and the first one were swapped, but after watching the first one again multiple times, I enjoyed it a lot more. It's my number 1.
right, let's move on to the final topic for today. It is the physical media update. AJ, do you have anything to show before I go?
I have quite a bit to show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have
One,
6. How
two,
much do
three,
you
four,
have?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Oh,
All right,
13,
all right,
14,
all right.
oh
No, we
15.
stop. No, we stop.
AJ, AJ, were you here
You,
last
you
week?
can
No, I wasn't here last week.
Oh, okay,
you
that's
can
why.
show it all
That's
because
why.
we're ending a little early tonight, so you can definitely show it all.
Yeah, and some of this stuff I'm gonna show at the same time. So
Yeah. I only have like 6 things, so I'm gonna show these.
mm,
Alex and AJ sent. Well, this is all Alex's stuff that he sent me, but AJ sent it to me. He also sent me some stuff that I'm very grateful for, including one thing that I'm looking up at right now. I love it. Um, it's a poster of X-Men, but he also sent me this awesome Spider-Man
that's
Funko Pop.
Alex.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah, Alex sent that.
you still sent it to me.
That's true.
um,
You would have
so
never got it if it was.
yeah, bro, what? Um, So thank you to them for sending me this. So first thing he sent me was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I have not seen this movie. He said he was getting rid of this, so I said, "Bro, give me that. I need some of that." Um, he also is getting rid of some of his horror pack joints, and I only wanted. I'm not saying that I'm ungrateful that he gave me two other ones, but I only wanted one of these. He sent me a couple of them. I was like, oh, okay. First one is Don't Look in the Basement too. This is actually the first one is like really old, and it's directed by the people who did Last House on the Left. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting. So yeah, maybe I'll watch the first one before I watch this one. This is the one that I actually wanted, A Christmas Horror Story. So
Let's get a close up on that.
believe it or not, William Shatner is in this movie. Believe it or
Oh,
not.
wow.
Um, so
Captain Kirk.
I watched Krampus again last Christmas, and I actually really liked it. And I gained like this whole new appreciation for Christmas horror movies. And we did the Black Christmas originals versus remakes, and I really enjoyed the '06 remake too. I was like, yo, I kind of like Christmas horror movies. I watched that Better Watch Out movie. I did not like that movie at all, but you know, um and I saw that he had this one. He was getting rid of it. I was like, yo, let me get that. Like
Mhm.
I'll watch it in December. And the last one he sent me was Volumes of Blood. I love the cover art of this. This looks awesome. I'm sure this is not reflective of the movie, but the cover art looks really good. And getting into the two big boys that I got the last two James Cameron 4K, so I got the Abyss on 4K. I kind of like the slipcover, kind of not. I love the blue gloss on it. I love that. I have not seen this movie yet. And I got True Lies on 4K. I was not going to buy this actually, but seeing that everyone is losing their minds and buying these damn things like they're freaking hotcakes, as Alex said in his video, um, I was like, let me just buy them. Whatever. They're available. Let me get them. I have not seen either of these. I will be soon. Me and AJ watched Aliens the other night. And first of all, Aliens is one of the greatest movies ever made. And second of all, that 4K is amazing. I hate to break it to you, clowns. That 4K is amazing. I'm terribly sorry. You can go cry about it. I will watch it over and over again because it looks amazing. Thank you very much. AJ?
All right. Getting into my pickups. This is one that we did a OVR originals versus remakes for, and it is King Kong. I got the comic King Kong steelbook, Blu-ray
Monkey.
steelbook. I actually really enjoyed this movie on a rewatch. I didn't enjoy it when I was younger, but I like it now. The next one is it's one that's Stacy, my wife, really enjoys. And it's one that she showed me when we started dating, and I really liked it too. It released a Blu-ray steelbook, and it is called Amelie. I know that if you don't know of the movie, you probably have seen the poster before. It's a French film by Sony. It's a good movie.
You
So
know,
Amelie.
the director of that movie directed Alien Resurrection.
Nah, for real, I did not know that.
Yes.
That's
I'm so
crazy.
serious.
Crazy. I did not know that. That's hilarious. Next I got Christine, the Blu-ray steelbook. I think the 4K steelbook is the same
Yes, it
exact
is.
design. I kind of wanted the 4K, but I didn't own the movie, so I went ahead and got this.
I
It
want
was
that
$10.
4K. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I watched it a couple years ago with Alex, and I really like it. It's a dope
It's
movie.
good.
Next, I saw this at Disc Replay Sky High on Blu-ray,
Oh, I need
so I
that.
was like, I need to get it. It was
I need that.
$5.99. I needed to pick this up.
One
I
of the
have the DVD.
greatest superhero movies ever made.
Next stop, Sky High.
Oh
So,
man.
and so I picked up two of the James Cameron joints. I got Aliens and True Lies. I had seen Aliens before. I really enjoyed the movie. And I was like, let me get that one because I've seen it before. I hadn't seen The Abyss or True Lies. So I went ahead and watched those two. I didn't care for The Abyss, but I really enjoyed True Lies, so I went ahead and picked it up on 4K. I'm really excited to give this another watch, honestly, even though it's pretty long. I really want to watch it on 4K and see how the 4K is. Um, Next, I picked up Dune, the 1980s one. I I sat there and watched this movie. It is some cheese. It has a lot of cheese in it, but I liked it,
Some
honestly. I
cheese.
dug the movie. I dug the movie. Yo, the
Bro, I
shield battle
can't get
is
over
cinema.
how
The
I
shield
can't get over
battles
how the shields
are
look in that movie, bro.
cinema, pure cinema. Next, I didn't own this movie, and I was trying to get a deal like buy five get the six free. So I went ahead and picked this up, Silence of the Lambs on Blu-ray. I wanted to wait to get the Criterion, but I saw this. It was $3.99, so I went ahead and picked it up. Next, I got Suzume on Blu-ray Steelbook. And I absolutely love the way the Steelbook looks.
It's
I love it.
gorgeous.
I
I
love
need
it.
to rewatch that movie.
Yes, I put it on the other day, but I never finished it. Um,
Bro.
the next few I'm gonna show together. So Despicable Me 4 is coming out, and I never owned any of the Despicable Me movies, so I went ahead and picked up the Despicable Me trilogy.
Yes.
Got three on 4K because it was $3.99, but the other ones are Blu-ray with a slip. And Kung Fu Panda came out, so I went ahead and got that trilogy,
Oh my
one,
god.
two, and three for Kung Fu Panda. And the last thing I'm gonna show, I'm
Godzilla
gonna say,
versus
I'm
Kong
gonna
is about to come out.
say, no, I already had all those. Um, I know I
I think I
said I
know what it
wasn't gonna
is.
buy this.
I think I know what it
Tyler and
is.
Al, huh?
Go ahead.
Tyler and Alex have been on me about getting this for years now, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get it. Y'all are crazy. I went ahead and got it. The Halloween 4K Scream Factory 4K.
Yeah.
Halloween Scream Factory 4K only because it was $12.99.
No, bro. Yes.
Only because it was $12.99. But
Bro.
I am slowly finding these boxes at Disc Replay. So the only one I need now is five. So and I'll have it complete.
Well,
So
not complete. You
well,
can't get.
complete with that
Yeah,
with those boxes, not the set. But
telling you, bro. That 4K is gonna change your life. You're gonna be like, yo, this Lionsgate joint. Get this out of here, bro.
I almost watched it the other day, but it's
Telling
Halloween,
you, bro. I'm telling
so
you. You
gotta
think I'm
watch it
joking
around.
when I say that difference is not? That difference, bro.
Yeah,
It's like
for
in
sure.
the scene in Oz the Great and Powerful when it goes from black and white to Oz, bro. It's
Yeah,
like,
or Brother Bear when
yeah,
it's
that
kind
too.
of dull. It's kind of dull, and then when
Aspect
he
ratio
becomes a bear,
changes.
yes, he becomes a bear, and it's like bright and vibrant.
Oh man, your reminder that Brother Bear is a criminally underrated Disney movie.
I really
Love that
enjoyed
movie.
that movie a lot.
But
But
that is
that's it.
going to do it for our physical media update because this geek does never has physical media. Um,
Just wait until
we're
Doom Part
gonna.
2 comes out. Alright?
Oh please.
Mm.
Um,
Did we all have that?
we're gonna get on out of here. Thank you to people who showed up to this live stream. If you enjoyed the live stream, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for all notifications for future Nerd Talk live streams and videos. Last week we dropped our originals versus remix for King Kong in preparation for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Next week we will be dropping our originals versus remix for The Omen, because the first Omen comes out that Friday. Also next week we will be back in these chairs talking about Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire in full spoiler details. Other than Dune, probably my most anticipated Nerd Talk episode. I'm so
Not Furiosa.
excited. Well, when we got out of
That's
Dune, you
oh,
know,
okay.
but no, this, I'm excited. I can't wait to see this movie tomorrow night. It's been getting surprisingly great reviews, and I can't wait. I'm very excited. Also follow our Instagram. The link is down below. We update it every single day with news and everything we're doing. At the end of this week, probably, or the beginning of next week, probably, we'll have a slate for everything we're doing in April. It's
Yep,
gonna be a
already got it made up.
pretty. It's gonna be a pretty light month because really nothing is coming out. I was even looking at our notes when we sat down and made it, and I was like, man, April is. There's one thing that I'm really excited to do in April, but other than that, it's the May. May
Yeah,
we
we back.
got we got a lot. Yeah, May we back. We got a lot lined up in May. It's gonna be a fun one. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Nerd Talk. Let us know down below how you felt about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I know the film is actually very divisive, so if you enjoyed it, let us know down below why. I mean, film is subjective, so if you really enjoyed it, more power to you. If you guys agree with us, let us know and explain your grievances. So we're gonna get on out of here. We will see everyone next week when we talk about the monkey and the lizard doing battle once again. Everyone have a great night, and we will see you on the next episode of